All right.
Here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. There's a few special things happening tonight. First up, of course, we have our very special guest. And like a few over the last few months, actually, they've come along here and performed floor spots on the society nights, and tonight is a society night. So we have society nights and concerts here at the Bluegrass Society. A society night is a one-set show, and then we have a 10 coffee break, and then we have floor spots by locals. Stephen has come along and performed quite a few times, performing a floor spot on society night, and I welcomed him to come along to the Bluegrass Society and do a full set as the main act on a society night, and that's tonight. Let's give him a big hand. Stephen Riddell.
Cool, right. Thanks for coming out, everyone. I know, we're in level 2 right now, so things, I can see there's a few masks in the audience and things like that, but hopefully we're all observing, safe social distancing practices. So I'm going to kick us off with the first track from my album, which is here. It's called Sonic Spaces, and I also have some CDs available, so, maybe you might want to think about that during the show. It's called Early Morning Rain, and it's written by Gordon Lightfoot in the 1960s at some point. It's from his first kind of like singer-songwriter album. In the early morning rain, the dollar in my hand, and aching in my heart, my pocket's full of sand. I'm a long ways from home, and I miss my loved ones so. In the early morning rain, with no place to go, out on runway number 9, big 707 set to go. But I'm stuck here on the ground, is where the cold winds blow. Now the liquor tasted good, and the women all were fast. There she goes, my friend, she's a rolling down at last. Hear the mighty engines roar, see the silver burden high. She's away and westward bound, high above the clouds she'll fly. Where the morning rain don't fall, and the sun always shines. She'll be flying over my home in about 3 hours' time. So effort's got me down, it's no earthly good to me, 'cause I'm stuck here on the ground, as cold and drunk as I might be. You can't jump a big jet plane like you can an old freight train, so I'd best be on my way in the early morning rain. You can't jump a big jet plane like you can an old freight train, so I'd best be on my way in the early morning rain. That was in the early morning rain. So that was kind of an American song. And the next one I'm going to do is it's an old song. You might call it old time, but it's quite a bit older than that. It actually comes from at least the 1500s, because that's when they started writing down broadsides. But based on the stuff in the song, the references to kings and stuff like that, probably 1400s. So it's called the Blind Harper, and it comes from the borderlands, which is actually, my name is Stephen Riddell, and the surname Riddell, according to family legend, comes from the borderlands. The borderlands are kind of like the north of England and the south of Scotland during the Old Alliance for about 1100 to 1400. This was kind of a pretty lawless territory. Think kind of American Wild West kind of stuff. And so the surname Riddell came out of this. Apparently, according to a legend I heard once, Riddell is kind of the people who would put like stakes in the ground to like spear the knees of horses, or like basically cripple horses, so that when a horse would try to charge at your farm and try to raid your cattle, they would get crippled, and then they kind of like them and the rider would fall over. And this was a very real problem in the borderlands. They actually used to have these little truce meetings where every so often everyone would just agree to a truce and have a big fear, because that was the only way to figure out who had stolen whose stuff in the last few months. So this song, this is called The Blind Harper, and it kind of tells its own story. It's quite long, so I'm going to get on with it. Have you heard the tale of the Blind Harper? How he lived in Lochmaben town. He went down to fair England to steal King Henry's wanton brown. But first he went unto his wife with all the speed that he could show. This work, he says, will never go well without the help of your good grey mare. Says she, you take that good grey mare that'll run the hills both low and high, and sit you on the grey mare's back, and leave your foal at home with me. Then he was up to England gone, even as fast as go could he. And when he got to Carlisle gates, who should be there but King Henry? Oh, come in, you blind harper, and of your music let us hear. Oh, by my sooth, said the blind harper, I'd rather have stayed before my mare. So the king looked over his left shoulder and said unto his serving groom, take the poor blind harper's mare and put her beside me, wanton brown. The harper hopped and then he sang, so sweet was the music that he let them hear. His paid for a foal that he never had lost, and 3 times over for that good grey mare. And still he harped and still he sang, till he charmed them all so fast asleep. He straight took off his heavy shoes, and quietly down the stairs did creep. He crept up to that stable door, with tread as light could be. He tied his halter around the mare, to the wanton brown King Henry. Then he loosed them out the king's back gates, and the mare was so swift and she did bray. And she was at Lochmaben town 3 long hours before the day. And in the morn at broad daylight, when they had ended all their cheer, behold, the wanton brown was gone, and likewise the poor blind harper's mare. Oh, alas, alas, cries the blind harper, it's ever and the last that I have come here. In Scotland I've lost me a little colt foal, in England has stolen me a grey mare. Oh, hold your tongue, cried King Henry, and of your music let us hear. And well paid shall your colt foal be, and you shall get a far better mare. So the harper harped and then he sang, so sweet was the music that he let them hear. His paid for a foal that he never had lost, and 3 times over for that good grey mare. Cool. So, as an exciting multi-instrumentalist, like so many people at the Wellington Bluegrass, like Derek, who plays so many instruments, I also dabble in a few different instruments, and you've seen me doing the guitar and the harmonica, and this next one is a solo harmonica tune. This is one I wrote and I actually first performed here at the Bluegrass back in, I want to say, it's in the album notes, but I'm not going to look at them. I think it's July of last year I first performed. It's called Jaunt, and I kind of wrote it looking at like the Wellington waterfront. I was kind of thinking of like an old kind of sea-timey tune, and so I wrote this little thing on the harmonica. That was the A harmonica. You'll be hearing from the G and the E harmonica later tonight as well. So yeah, but I'll do now just this regular song, completely, just me and the guitar, the way that, a lot of the bluegrass stuff is kind of done. Though this isn't really a bluegrass song, oh no. Yeah, I will clean that up later. Moving on from that, so yeah, like I was saying, this isn't really a bluegrass song. This is actually one I wrote. It's called Your Fair Face. And so that one, that Jaunt one, that was kind of about like the waterfront. This is one about soldiers going off to Gallipoli. So if you're familiar with Wellington, maybe picture Pukeahu, like National War Memorial Park, that kind of thing. This is kind of a song I wrote thinking about those kind of stories that Kiwis tell about going to Gallipoli. It's your fair face I ne'er again shall see, for I am bound for Gallipoli. And your fair face I ne'er again shall see, for on those shores I surely must be. But if I had my way, with you I'd stay, enjoy this sumptuous view of God's own country. But there is war across the sea, and where Britain goes, so my dear do. For loyal subjects are the Kiwi. So your fair face I ne'er again shall see, for I am bound for Gallipoli. And your fair face I ne'er again shall see, for I must fight for king and country. I think of you but right on cue the cannons shout and roar, and you are there no more. My blood spills out, my comrades shout, the echoes stay and ring, but I am departing. So your fair face I ne'er again shall see, for I am bound for Gallipoli. And your fair face I ne'er again shall see, for a soldier I must be. So yeah, that was kind of sad and a little somber. So I'll lighten things up a bit. This is, I'm going to do a set of tunes. One is the Kerfunken jig, which is a tune I've been trying to pick up at the Wellington Irish sessions, and I think I'm maybe 85-90% of the notes are there now, so I think I'm pretty close. I recorded on my album anyway, so it's a bit too late now. So yeah, it's track 4 on the album, which again, I had the album with me. If maybe you're interested after hearing all this, consider buying it. It's $20 and it has 20 tracks on it, so I think that's kind of a reasonable, $1 a track. But cool, this is the Kerfunken jig, and the second tune in the set is Campfire Stories. I kind of put this set together over the lockdown because I was kind of missing playing music at folk sessions and stuff, because I come from kind of a classical music background, and in classical music, you don't really jam, you don't really play and have fun with other musicians. It's all very kind of serious, and so I was kind of on my own getting worked up in that kind of classical music mindset and getting really obsessive about playing tunes. And then I kind of thought, well, that's not really the way we play them when we're playing them with each other. And so I kind of did something completely different and just played the tunes the way I felt like playing them instead of the way it's supposed to be. So that's how it is on the album, and that's how I'm going to do it now. And so if that doesn't entice you to buy the album, the next song I'm going to do is the track which goes right after this on the album, and it's been picked up as a single in America, and it might be getting on international radio. So, you know, if just hearing me playing some of the jigs and stuff doesn't entice you, this next one hopefully get you right behind it. So yeah, this next one has a bit of a story behind it. It's called Buddha of the Backwoods. And so I also wrote this one over lockdown. And it's kind of, I was reading Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Buddhist, Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and he wrote this book, Old Path, White Clouds, kind of following in the footsteps of Buddha. It's like a hagiography kind of explaining the Buddha's life. And so I was reading this book over the lockdown, and I kind of was thinking to myself, this is kind of an interesting and cool story. What would this sound like in kind of like a backwoods American-y kind of setting? And so yeah, kind of incongruous, but I wrote it, and I don't know, they like it. Apparently, I got an email and he said, yeah, I think the lyric content is, you know, exactly the kind of thing we need in these troubled times. So the song is about the Buddhist concept of dependent, codependent arising, dependent origination. Essentially the idea that because this exists, that exists, so we all kind of come from something together. The song explains it a little better, so I'm just going to kind of launch on in. Buddha of the Backwoods. Lost in trouble for all my days. Oh, lost in trouble in this wide world. Oh, lost in trouble for all my days. But I just sit and let it be. Oh, I just sit and meditate upon the way things come to be. For we depend upon each other, and nothing that stands apart. Oh, lost in sorrow can griffin me. And in sorrow this world abounds. Oh, I felt sorrow come gripping me, but I just sit and let it be. Oh, I just sit and meditate upon the way things come to be. For we depend upon each other, and nothing that stands apart. Oh, I felt anger down in my bones, and that anger got deep. Oh, I felt anger down in my bones, but I just sit and let it be. Oh, I just sit and meditate upon the way things come to be. For we depend upon each other, and nothing that stands apart. Oh, who am I, you might say, to sit and think in this kind of way? Oh, who am I, you might say, well, I'm the man beneath the Bodhi tree, where I just sit and meditate upon the way things come to be. For we depend upon each other, and nothing that stands apart. Lost in trouble for all my days. Oh, lost in trouble in this wide world. Oh, lost in trouble for all my days. But I just sit and let it be. Oh, I just sit and meditate upon the way things come to be. For we depend upon each other, and nothing that stands apart. Oh, I just sit and meditate upon the way things come to be. For we depend upon each other, and nothing that stands apart. Cool. And so the last of my little trio of things about lockdown, which also helped to sell my handy little album I made over lockdown. So this final one, this isn't actually on the album, but it's written for Lucia, who designed the cover for the album. So basically when lockdown started, I had 2 new flatmates move in at basically the Monday that lockdown started, and I started a new job. So it was a very hectic time. And so I had 2 flatmates. I had David, who's kind of a former professional snooker player and now a zookeeper at the zoo, which is near where I live. And Lucia, who was a Spanish illustrator who was based and works in Cork, Ireland, and was over in New Zealand, hoping to experience like her OE and see Wellington, which she couldn't do from our flat. So she drew this little picture of Wellington instead, and I thought it looked really cool, and asked if I could put it on the album cover. And so in return, I've written a little song, little tune for her. It's called Andalusian Influence. Now, her name's Lucia. She's not technically from Andalusia, but I thought the pun was kind of too good, and she's fine with it, so that's what it's called. It's kind of a Spanishy tune. So yeah, let's get back to something a bit more bluegrassy. I feel like I'm at the Bluegrass Society, and I've now done some very eclectic kind of stuff, but I'm going to come back to something very bluegrassy. This is In Tall Buildings, which is a John Hartford song. He wrote this in 1970, and I think it was recorded properly in about 76. So it's called In Tall Buildings, and it's a song I'm quite familiar with because it really speaks to me. It's about going to work in an office all day and kind of all the things that you miss out on when you go to do that. And having had quite a few office jobs in the last few years, and being kind of a bit of a hippie at heart, I really kind of, that kind of speaks to me a bit. So this is it. It's called In Tall Buildings. It has a bit of a chorus, so I might play it a few times if you want to join in. You feel welcome. I know people at the Bluegrass don't need a lot of encouragement. There's a few things with choruses coming up later on, so if you want to warm up your voice, this could be the time. One day, my baby, when I am a man, and others have taught me the things that they can, they'll sell me a suit and cut off my hair and send me to work in tall buildings. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, and goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late, for I'm going to work in tall buildings. And when I've retired, my life is my home. means it's time to go home, and wonder what happened betwixt and between when I went to work in tall buildings. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, and goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late, for I'm going to work in tall buildings. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, and goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late, for I'm going to work in tall buildings. Let's go one more time. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, and goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late, for I'm going to work in tall buildings. Awesome, thanks so much for joining in, everyone. We're now about to move into kind of an ornithological section of the evening. A few bird things coming up here. So the first thing we're going to see, this is a harmonica tune. It's called Grey Owl, and so this is a tune which it's actually a Red River, which is kind of the Métis people of Saskatchewan in Canada. So this is, John Arcand is a Red River Métis fiddler, and he wrote this awesome tune called Grey Owl, which is relatively popular in some bluegrass circles. The problem is, he plays it on the fiddle, it sounds awesome. I play a little dinky harmonica, and so I had to try and figure out how to make it like sound on the harmonica. It's kind of like a fiddle. But the good news is he's actually seen me do it. Michelle, who's operating that camera over there, we filmed me doing it in my backyard in February, and he liked the post on Facebook, and then he liked it again when I put it on the album. So I'm not, a lot of times when you're doing this kind of old time music, it's really hard to tell if, when you start screwing around with the tunes a bit, if people actually can recognize it. But, at least he liked the post, so hopefully he likes the tune, or at least my version of it. So this is Grey Owl, and it's followed up with Hangin in a Tree, which is another one I wrote just to kind of finish the set. And then me and Michelle did the video, I was kind of like in a tree playing it. So yeah, it's on my YouTube, check it out. so I think you're probably all getting a little sick of me now. So I brought a fiddler along who's going to come along and she's going to do a few things with me. So continuing along, this is Evie Backwoods. So this is Evie, is it Bachigalupo?
Yes, it is.
Bachigalupo.
Bachigalupo.
So Evie is from Australia, and we met at Ethno New Zealand at the start of this year, which is a great program if you're a musician between 18 and 30 and want to meet other cool musicians from around the world. Check it out. Do you want to introduce yourself? You got anything you want to kind of...
No, you summed it up, man.
Cool. So this first one we're going to do is one I wrote. It's called Swallow Song to come in the bird section of the evening now. So we're going to do Swallow Song, which is one I wrote about the welcome swallow, which is a bird native to New Zealand, but which actually immigrated from Australia. And so Evie is an Australian who's come over to New Zealand. So she's kind of like the bird in the song. And then we're going to do as a little medley with I'll Fly Away, which I think is quite popular on bluegrass jams. I think many of you may know it. So join in with the chorus of that one too if you want to. But yeah, this is Swallow Song. Let's just...
Probably awkwardly mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh?
You can turn it off.
That's fantastic.
It is. How do I turn it off?
So while she's playing around with her phone, a bit more about the album. So yeah, it's got 20 tracks on it. This is track 11, and this is also something.
Let's pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah, never happened. This little medley we're doing is actually something I'm working out for my new album. So if you like what we're doing tonight, maybe buy this one, help your new album. But cool, this is Swallow Song. Fly, swallow, fly so far from me. Fly, swallow, fly, that's I'm longing to see. Fly, swallow, fly in autumn gold. Fly, swallow, fly away in the cold. When you leave me without the sun, it feels like I'm without anyone. I want to listen and hear your song, but you leave me waiting so very long. Fly, swallow, fly so far from me. Fly, swallow, fly, that I'm longing to see. Fly, swallow, fly, I glimpse your wing. Fly, swallow, fly, can I hear you sing? Fearing your reasons, not knowing the truth, I think that you'll leave me because I'm uncouth. But it's just the seasons changing your way. That's why you leave a roundabout way. Fly, swallow, fly, come back for the spring. Fly, swallow, fly, and start to sing. Fly, swallow, fly, enlighten my day. Fly, swallow, fly, that's all I can say. Fly, swallow, fly, come back for the spring. Fly, swallow, fly, and start to sing. Fly, swallow, fly, enlighten my day. Fly, swallow, fly, that's all I can say. Fly, swallow, fly, enlighten my day. Fly, swallow, fly, that's all I can say. these prison walls, oh fly on, fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, my God, I'll fly away.
Oh, how glad and happy when we meet. I'll fly away to a land where joys will never end. Oh, I'll fly away.
I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, my God, I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away. I keep birds from these prison walls, I'll fly, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, my God, I'll fly away. Yes, I'll fly away. Big hand praise, everyone. Cool, so yeah, add a bit more variety to the evening. I'm going to do some stuff on the piano now. Keep the changes coming. So this is a set of two. This first one is an old time tune. It's called Bill Malley's Barndance, and I learned it by watching the fiddle playing of Brittany Haas, she's a fiddle player based in America. And apparently it's an Irish tune, but I've played it at a number of Irish jams and it has not been recognised. So jury's still out on that one. And the other one is called Cèilidh, which is one I wrote. About winter of last year. I went to Vic Folk, who's like a local folk group. They had some Cèilidhs. I went to a few of those and thought, oh, this is kind of an interesting idea. I wrote this kind of extended 3-minute jazz variation on kind of traditional tunes on the piano. It's on the album as well. It's track 15 on the album. But, so yeah, just be warned, this is old time, but I've been working on some jazzy modal accompaniments on the left hand of the piano, so this might get a little wilder than some old time music can. But yeah, start off quite sweet with Bill Malley's Barndance. Cool. So, Andrew, how am I doing for time?
I'm enjoying it.
You've got time to mop the floor now.
I do have time to mop the floor now. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I will do. In this case, I'm going to do a slightly longer one, but I hope people might enjoy it. So this is one I actually did a cappella, and I was really happy with what I did on the album for it. But I prefer it with the guitar for a gig because we can really do some sing-along stuff with it. So this is "Hang Me, Oh Hang Me," which is it's an old-time song, but it's becoming increasingly popular because it was featured in 2 different films in 2013. It was featured inside Llewyn Davis and World War Z. And so I don't know, I play old-time music and not that many people are interested in it, but this is one song that when I say it's an old-time song, people go, oh yeah, that song, I know that song. So I'm just going to tune up a little because it's been about half an evening, and then I'm going to launch on into it. This song was originally recorded in the Library of Congress in 1937, but I've seen lyric fragments going back to at least the 1800s. So it's probably quite an old song. There's various variations, like Hangman is a song that Peter, Paul and Mary do, which has similar kind of lyric qualities and is probably the same kind of ballad. But yeah, so this is Hang Me, Oh Hang Me. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Well, I wouldn't mind the hanging, but laying in the grave so long, poor boy. I've been all around this world, all around Cape Girardeau, parts of Arkansas, all around Cape Girardeau, parts of Arkansas. Well, I've been so goddamn hungry, I could hide behind this straw, poor boy. I've been all around this world. Went up on the mountain, there I made my stand. Went up on the mountain, there I made my stand. With a rifle on my shoulder and a dagger in my hand, oh boy, I've been all around this world. Join if you want. So hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Well, I wouldn't mind the hanging, but laying in the grave so long, poor boy, I've been all around this world. Put the rope around my neck, hung me up so high. Put the rope around my neck, hung me up so high. Well, the last words I heard him say, won't be long now for you die, poor boy. I've been all around this world. So hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Well, I wouldn't mind the hanging, but laying in the grave so long, poor boy, I've been all around this world. Thanks, guys, and thanks for joining in. It's really great to get the chorus going and having people actually sing along. This next one, unfortunately, doesn't have a chorus, but it is kind of a cool song, and it's you might enjoy it anyway. It's called "Courting as a Pleasure," and it's a traditional Irish song. And it seems to date from around maybe the Great Migration. Basically, there's a lot of songs from Ireland about kind of a guy meets a girl, the girl goes to someone with more money, and so he goes, screw this, I'm off to America for a new life. And so this is one of those kind of songs. It's called Courting as a Pleasure, and yeah, it's kind of a traditional Irish song. I do it in kind of like, because he's going to America, I do it in kind of an American-y way. You'll figure it out once you see me do it. This is it, Courting as a Pleasure. Coursing is a pleasure between my love and I. It's down in yon green valley I would meet her by and by. And it's down in yon green valley she was my heart's delight. Oh Molly, lovely Molly, I would stay till dawn's bright light. But going to church last Sunday, my true love, she passed me by. I knew her mind was altered by the woman of her eye. I knew her mind was altered to a lad a high degree. Oh Molly, lovely Molly, your looks have wounded me. Then up came her love Willie, with a bottle in his hand, saying, drink this lovely Molly, for our love will never stand. Saying, drink this lovely Molly, let the bottle flask go free. 10 guineas I'll wager, that married we ne'er shall be. So never marry a fair young maid with a dark and a roving eye. Just you kiss her and you embrace her, never tell her the reason why. Just you kiss her and you embrace her, to cause her heart to yield. For faint-hearted soldier will never gain the field. So farewell, Ballymorning, likewise the sweet bank shore, and farewell unto McCaskey grave. Never shall I see thee more. America lies that way, that land I shall go see. May all bad luck attend the one who parted my love and me. May all bad luck attend the one who parted my love and me. One more, Andrew? One more? Cool. One more. This is an old-timey one with a chorus, so we'll do that because it's going to be fun. You can all sing along. This is called Tree Canoe, and it's originally found in an 1847 songbook titled Plantation Melodies. So, some of these songs come from interesting, different kinds of places and times. But I think this one's a really cool and kind of cute song. It's just basically about rowing in a boat and love and stuff like that. It's a very kind of gentle folk song. And yeah, it's got a chorus, which you'll probably figure out after the first time around, so you can join in. On the Tombigbee River, so bright I was born, in a hut made of husks of the tall yellow corn. It was there I first spied my Julia so true, and I rode her about in my gum tree canoe, singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. All day in the fields of soft cotton I'd hoe, and I'd think of my Julia and sing as I'd go. I'd catch her a bird with a wing of true blue, and at night sail her round to my gum tree canoe. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. With my hands on my guitar and my toe on the oar, I'd sing to the sound of the river's soft roar, while the bright stars shone down on my Julia so true, and they danced in her eyes in my gum tree canoe. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. One day the old river took us so far away that we couldn't get back, so we thought we'd just stay. We spied us a ship with a flag of true blue, and it took us in tow in our gum tree canoe. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. One more time. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. Singing row away, row her, the water's so blue, like a feather we'll float in our gum tree canoe. Cool, thanks everyone. I warn you though, you guys asked for this, so what I'm gonna do, I really like to sing unaccompanied. I've done this on stage a few times, and it's been made clear to me by some audience members that my particular kind of tunefulness is not always appreciated. So, you guys asked for this one. So this was kind of a rejoinder. I did Courting as a Pleasure earlier, and that one's kind of, you know, oh, woe is me, the girl's gone for this other guy with more money, so I'm going to go to America. And so this, what I'm going to do now, this is called You Rambling Boys of Pleasure, and this is actually really interesting to me as kind of a piece of folk song history. So I recorded the final song on my album, which I'm only going to mention one more time. It's called, so I did Gentle on My Mind, and I was trying to think, what's the oldest like folk song I can remember from school and stuff? And so I did Down by the Sally Gardens, which was written, it's a poem written by Yeats, William Butler Yeats, in 1889. The thing is, I saw Andy Irvine earlier this year doing like 3 gigs while he was in New Zealand, and he's an Irish folk singer, and he did the song called You Rambling Boys of Pleasure. It has a very similar second verse. So I went and did some research, and apparently, according to most like folklore kind of people, Yeats ripped off this folk song, Your Rambling Voice of Pleasure. So, I did that on the album. It's a bit too late now, but because I'm on the concert, I'll do the actual song, and I haven't figured out the mandolin part that he does with it, so it's just me singing it. You rambling boys of pleasure, give ear unto these lines I write. I own I am a rover, in rambling I take great delight. I cast my mind on a handsome girl, though oftentimes she does me slight. But my mind is never easy, except when my true love's in sight. Down by yon flowery garden, where me and my true love did meet, I took her in my arms and gave unto her sympathy. She bade me take love easy, just as the leaves fall from the tree. But I, being young and foolish, with my own true love I did not agree. And the second time I met my love, I thought that her heart was surely mine. But as the season changes, my darling girl has changed her mind. Gold's the root of evil, although it bears a glistening hue, causes many's the lad and the lass to part, though their hearts like mine be e'er so true. And I wish I was in Belfast town, and my true love along with me, and money in my pockets to keep us in good company, liquor to be plenty, a flowing loss at every side. For hard fortune will ne'er daunt me, for I am young and the world is wide. Cool.
Wow, that was pretty special, wasn't it? Yeah. Let's give him another hand, Stephen. As it turned out, Stephen gave me a phone call a few days ago because I'm not really sure whether it was going to go ahead or not, and I said, well, yes it will, but you're going to have to wear a mask. No, not really, only kidding.
Well, that mask, man.
Yeah, I heard the gulp on the phone call and he sort of got then realised I was joking. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, one thing that no person here tonight has pulled me up on, and there's a few people here, or more than a few actually, who have been here more than once. And so one of my absolute failings when I opened the show was that I didn't introduce myself. And there are some people here who are here for the first time who have no idea of who I am. So I'm going to introduce myself.
Imagine if you wore your mask, Andrew.
Exactly. That's why I didn't wear one.
And can you make sure you use your full title, please?
That's only for special occasions. But actually it is a special occasion. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I will introduce myself. For those of you who are new here tonight, my name is Andrew Bicknell and I'm the President of the Wellington Bluegrass Society. And it is my official duty to let you know what's coming up. And that's not just the latter part of tonight, but it's actually shows coming up here at the Wellington Bluegrass Society. Now I mentioned about society nights. Tonight is the society night. And I mentioned about concerts. Are we ready in the kitchen, Bill? Is that a yes or a no? There was a no.
Almost.
An almost. Oh well. On this special occasion, Ian has made you aware that I do have a title. And I have told you that I only use that title on special occasions. And I've also told you that tonight is a special occasion. So if you can put those three things together, then there might be one or two of you who know what I'm getting at.
Is the Queen here?
Yeah, I'm reading the kitchen.
Oh!
Right,
We have a cake with candles that are not quite going out. I'll just walk slowly. This cake is to celebrate this special occasion. Okay? The special occasion happens to be tonight, the 30th anniversary of the Wellington Bluegrass Society. We've been meeting in this venue for 30 years, as of tonight. So there you have it.
Is that dairy free?
I've got some gluten-free biscuits. But this is not, as far as I'm aware, dairy-free. Right? Now, the other part of that announcement, ladies and gentlemen, as of June last year, I received a QSM for services to music for running the Wellington Bluegrass Society. So there you have it. You are. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a tea and coffee break. Then you're most welcome to have a piece of cake. And we will wash our hands before we cut it. Because rest assured I've been reliably informed by Ashley Bloomfield himself that soap and water will kill COVID. So we'll wash our hands, we'll cut the cake, you can have a piece of cake and a cup of tea or coffee on the house. There we are. And then the second half we will have floor spots by local performers, and if you'd like to perform a floor spot tonight, come and have a chat to me. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. 30 years.